when I read the play, in fact, I read the whole of Rattigan's canon. He does something which I personally can't respond to, which is putting all the exposition in the first act. And I said to the producer, Sean O'Connor, who brought it to me, and to the Rattigan Trust, I said, it's got to be told from Hester's point of view. If it's told from Hester's point of view, you can get rid of all that exposition about what went on before the curtain rose, and it's much more interesting to then reveal it slowly. And they were very, very good about it, because the first draft was incredibly tentative. I'd never done a play before. And Alan Brodie of the Rattigan Trust said, be more radical, which I thought was terrific. So I was. But I think by putting in scenes which are not in the play, I've got a very imitative ear. I can imitate the sounds and the way in which he constructs dialogue. And I'm glad to say I did it on House of Mirth as well. I can imitate. And I hope that the dialogue that is written for people who are not actually in the play sounds Rattigan-esque. But the Trust were just terrific.
When I first read the script, what struck me was how, well, firstly, how universal but also contemporary the feelings are. I think it's a film about love. It's a film about the complexity of being in love, the darker side of passion, and Hester's act of leaving William Collier, leaving a man who is intensely kind and compassionate and gentle, for a man who has more passion but also a greater capacity for cruelty, is something that happens every single day, whether it's 1951 or 2011.
Love, I think, is really the most exclusively human emotion, because what we do for it. You know, why is it that we look at somebody, and that doesn't necessarily even have to be sexual. You can look at someone and say, I love them as a person, and I'd lay my life down for them. I'd just do it, you know. My mother was like that. I mean, I'd do anything for her, and she for me. But when it's that powerful, it can have a destructive nature, especially possessiveness. And I saw that. I'm from a large family, and I saw some of the people that my brothers and sisters married and were possessive, and that's destructive. And what moved me more than anything else is if you view it from Hester's point of view, she comes to know real love. And real love is to say to the person you love most in the world, if you're better off without me, go. And that is such an act of courage.
For me, it's the subjectivity of each of their perspectives, which is that I do think Freddie loves Hester, and I think he means it when he says, I just don't love you in the way that you love me. But it's also because of each of their experiences of life up until that point that informs their openness and their capacity to yield, I think, to feeling. When I approached it, I think the reason that the relationship between Hester and Freddie can't work is because Hester is on the run from something incredibly repressed. She's inherited the moral code of her father, who's a priest. She has married a judge who it seems is without passion. Freddie has spent 5 years fighting dogfights in the skies of London, and he has seen death every day. The potluck of all of his friends being shot out of the sky, and who knows who's coming home tonight. And so in a year like 1950, though all those guys wanted to do after they got back home was to live, to sing in the pub and to play golf and to drive fast down the Great West Road, simply because they felt so lucky to be alive. And so Hester's obsession with him, to the extent that she goes to, which is, you know, to take her own life, or to threaten to take her own life, because of this love, I think is something that he can't access in a way because of his war damage.
The scenes at the beginning, which are circular, the circular shots, originally were tracks in on this. You know, I mean, even in rehearsal, it took days and was terminally boring. I mean, but I thought, well, if it's circular like memory is, it will be much more interesting. And if we go from the naked bodies to flesh and cloth, and then we see her lying on the floor, there's something very satisfying about that, in the way music is satisfying. When you hear something resolved, after you've waited perhaps 10 minutes to hear that resolution, you're thrilled by it because your inner ear is waiting for that resolution. And I think it's the same with film, because film is very close to music. You have to look at it viscerally. You cannot look at it intellectually. You either believe in the first 2 minutes or you don't. And if you don't, go home, because it's a waste of time for everybody.
I think the cinema differs from the theatre in its capacity to hold silence. I think on stage in a theatre, you can't be silent for too long, because within that silence, the play will die. And theatre is an art form that thrives on words and language and argument and dialectic. And cinema is about behaviour and feeling and thought. And the expression of thought and feeling without words is, as in life, incredibly moving.